So in this one, guys, we're going to go through and do the Ask Me Anything questions. That's right, I asked people about a week and a bit ago now, kind of maybe 10 days, just to kind of go, is there anything you want to know about me or about the channel, and just kind of what we do, because I've been doing this for a year now and we've hit 6,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone. So I want to do something slightly different in recognition of that, and I don't often talk about myself. So you guys have obviously replied in loads of comments on there, which is really good. So it's really great to hear from you guys. If you like this kind of stuff, then obviously let me know and I'll do it sort of in the future, kind of maybe every 1,000 milestone. But I'm going to go through in this one and just answer all the questions that people asked, and you get a really good idea. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now, kicking us off, we're going to start with Set. So Set's asked, hey Dan, I think it's great to ask your questions here about myself basically, and they've got a few questions, so I'm not going to read all of them, but just the main ones, okay? So they ask kind of, what is my job and how much time does it take and how much time do I spend on ESO? So I work as a full-time primary school teacher, so I teach in year 3, 7, 8-year-olds. I work 55, 60 hours a week as teaching. I then do some YouTube stuff in the evenings, maybe a bit on the weekend. I generally do it kind of when my fiance Laura is asleep, so she goes to bed a bit earlier than me. So all in all, ESO I get about probably 10 to maybe 15 hours a week at the very most, because obviously work, family, you get the idea. As to kind of where do I live, I live in the southeast of England, so that's kind of as far as I'm going to go. So southeast of England, really sunny, really nice weather. It's obviously very weird at the moment because of lockdown, so yeah, it's very different, but it's nice nevertheless. Is there a place I'd really like to visit? So for me, I've always been fascinated with Egypt, and always wanted to see the pyramids there. I'd also like to go to America and do kind of like a trip, so I'm thinking of kind of doing something like that sort of in the future. And as for the final question, Thomas is 10 months old, so he's not quite old enough to play ESO yet, but I have made a heavy attack build, so maybe he might be able to play that at least, because it's very easy. So that's obviously the first question from Set, so really thank you for obviously taking the time to ask that. I hope that answers it. Our next question is from Majesty. So they've kind of asked, how do I build a character and focus more on Stamina Necromancer? They're not quite 5, they're not 810, they're 510 CP. How do they know what the new meta is and stuff? So what I find, in all honesty, when I build a character is look on YouTube, firstly, that's kind of a good go-to, and look at what people run generally. And for me, I always go with kind of a damage set, a sustain set, and a defensive set. That gives you a really good basis, and then you can tweak the build from there. So to your question, that's what I would do for the Necromancer. I'd probably try something like Mark of the Prior. I'd probably pair that with New Moon, and I'd probably use Balog, and then just use those sustain jewelry to fix the sustain. That's kind of what I'm going to do there. So I hope that answers your question. Food-wise, I'd honestly go with just Tri-Stat Food or Dubious Cameroon Throne or Arterial Takeaway Broth. As for Justin, he's asked about obviously ESO related, so when will I update my PvP build for Greymore, the macro ones? I plan on updating them in the next week or so do kind of sort of stick around. I've been testing Shroud. I've got 2 new Magical Wardens coming out. I've made a heavy attack build, which is crazy, so I've got lots of things coming, but I want to test them first, so it's not kind of I'm going to publish something I just think might work. I want to really check it. As for our next question, it's from Dart. So Dart's asked, how much impen do I run in Greymore? And is it worth to have impen on all pieces? And that's actually a really good question. And what I'm going to do actually is refer you to kind of a future video. So in the video that I'm working on currently, I'm basically looking at all the traits in PvP. What are they good for? When should you kind of run all impen or all well fitted or a bit of both? Should you run any divines? So it will kind of really break it down a bit more. But currently, I run all impen because I see it as like active versus passive defense. Passive is basically you don't do anything, you're just tanky. Impen, resistance, reinforce, all those kind of things. Active is like roll dodge, sturdy, well fitted. So it's kind of that's kind of how the video is going to go. But as I said, I'm going to go through that in more details then. So yeah, kind of watch that video when it comes out, okay? Our next question is from Cheeseburger, and I've had a few questions asked about this. What's my favourite class? So I really enjoy Magicka classes firstly. They are just really great. And because of that, I'm really kind of I'm really fond of Magica Sorcerer, but Magica Warden. Like, Magica Warden is hands down my favourite class because it just fits my playstyle. I like to be able to be in the face and hit hard and support my team. So for me, it just does everything. Like, I can heal my teammates if they make a mistake, which they sometimes do. I can stay alive myself quite easily because I'm really tanky with how I build it, and I have really good damage. Is it the best damage? Is it a 1vx kind of class? No, but ESO is a really fun game to play if you've got a playstyle that you like, and Warden gives that for me. So Magica Warden, in all honesty. I do quite like Magica Necromancer, but it's a bit buggy, so yeah. And then Inhumane Beatbox also commented as well, said his favourite is Templar, so there you go, obviously his Templar. As for Safex, he's said obviously congratulations, 2 questions. So what's your favourite part of ESO? And I think it's pretty obvious, it's PvP. PvE, in all honesty, is no disrespect to, Alcast and Nefas and all those other people that do PvE, but it is mind-numbing for me personally. It is just repetition. You are literally doing the same rotation, the same mechanics on the same trial, daily or weekly, all year. Like, for me, it just seems really pointless, and I get that you can say exactly the same thing with PvP, but for me, my favourite part of ESO is PvP, and it's because of the build creation. Like, my channel is all about making PvP builds mainly and guides, and in PvP you just have more options to make builds. In PvE it's really, really simple, in all honesty. Redequin, really good, Laquesti's really good. They're in most builds. There's no other build out there really because they're just so good. So for me it's build creation and PvP. And then as for his second question, what is your in real life profession? I'm a primary school teacher, so I teach 7-8-year-olds, as I've said earlier. So that's really good. I'm hoping to either do YouTube long term as a part-time job, but also to move into lecturing at university as kind of a moving forward to just add a bit more detail, because I'm currently doing my master's degree. And then Chris Gibson's asked, what would your go-to be for below 50? And he's obviously referring to below 50 PvP, just so you're aware, okay? So below 50 PvP, in all honesty, I don't do it. I don't like it. It's too slow compared to just normal PvP. It's really, really slow. There's an invisible buff which is never explained, but basically the lower you are, the bigger buff is applied to you, which gives you more damage and less damage taken because you don't have access to all of your skills and the passives, which kind of makes sense. It puts people on an equal footing. The issue is though that if you're a low level character with gold gear, you have a significant advantage, like to the point you can go around at level 10 and kill level 50, 49, 48 characters with ease, and they can't do any damage to you, and you hit them like a truck. So for me, that's why I don't like it. But to your question, there is a build that I do like and I do use. It's Tri-Spawn Star and Mechanical Acuity. And what's really nice about those is that actually you don't need to upgrade them. So I'd go with all in pen and I'd make them at say level 10, and then I'll just use that because I can use 2 Munder Stones, which obviously they're just always good. Mechanical Acuity is always good, so that just works. Is it kind of best in slot? No. Is it lazy? Yes. So that's what I use. And then kind of with all the skills and stuff, level 20 you've got no skills. It's why I use Mechanical Acuity, because crit is amazing. And I'd also use Tri-Spawn Star because I can go with the Lover and any damage Munders regardless of Magicka or Stam. So that's just really versatile, really flexible, those kind of 2 sets combined. And I'd add on something like a 2-piece Death's Wind for a bit more defense. All crafted sets, by the way, so you don't have to go and farm. It's great. And a wee panda going to ask, what do you look like? So, like any person, I'm white, I've got hair, surprisingly, I have eyes, hands, 2 feet, you get the idea. As to kind of, do you have any cats? I have 2 cats. One is amazing, the other is that was a pain in the arse. It's so annoying. One's called Luna. She's obviously really nice, really sweet. She comes for cuddles at night. Toby is the brother of Luna. He's unreal. Actually unreal. You think we wouldn't feed him. In all honesty, you'd think we wouldn't feed him. Like, I've got pictures of where he's jumped into the fridge. I've gone to make a cup of tea, open the fridge, get the milk out, put the milk on the side, go back in to obviously put the milk away, and the cat's inside the fridge. I'm like, what are you doing, Toby? He learnt to open the bin, so we had to buy a brand new bin so he couldn't do it. Like, this is just ridiculous. I've got loads of pictures which I share with the children at work, which they absolutely love. Like, they wet themselves because It's just so comical. Like you'd cry, you have to cry. It's just so ridiculous. As for Jackson's asked if you could pick one class in ESO, what would it be and why, basically, and how would I play it? So for me, Magical Warden. Kind of I alluded to it in the previous comment, but basically Magical Warden just has it all. It's got good damage, good survivability, and it can heal people. It's like a good support role. If you're really good on it, you can X on it. It's really hard to 1vX, but it is possible. Hard though. But for things like battlegrounds and stuff, it just does it all. You know, any kind of objective mode, you're tanky enough to hold a relic, you're tanky enough to go and capture a point, you're tanky enough to fight 3 or 4 people at once, but you also have damage 3 or 4 people at once. With my new Frostbite build, which is just stupidly crazy, I can kill people really quick on it as well. So for me, that is just it. It's that kind of semi-brawler magical playstyle where you're kind of in their face, but you got a bit of bulk about you and a bit of kind of support. Whereas Magicka Dragonite doesn't do any kind of support. It's just I whip you and I whip you and I whip you, and it's a bit repetitive. And Warden's a bit more skillful. You've got to line your beetles, you've got to land your heavy attacks properly, you've got to do your combos to get burst. And for me, I like that. I like that kind of challenge, which is why I don't do PvE. It's just boring. As for Owen, it says feels good to obviously be at the start. He's been here for ages, which is like really great. So obviously cheers for obviously being with us since the very beginning. His question though was first ESO character, class and race. And you're probably going to laugh now, but I thought I was having that big brain moment. So when I played ESO, I was like, oh yeah, 200 IQ moment, like I'm going to make a Templar. Templar, awesome. And Templar will heal me when I use my jabs. And oh, I can also get healing from the Red Diamond passive as an Imperial. So we go with an Imperial Magicka Templar. It was so bad. It was so bad. I could kill stuff in PvE fine, I could get through quests and whatnot, but it is nowhere near like optimized for endgame stuff. So yeah, my first proper character was a Magicka Templar Imperial, and then I got him to about level, it must be like level 48, 45, 46, and I was like, this isn't working. I then made a Magicka Sorcerer, and that became my main, which I actually used to CP 1000 and something. So yeah. As to his second question, how am I doing basically during lockdown and all this crazy stuff? And you know, lockdown's weird. It's really weird. You know, you're stuck indoors and you can go out, you can go do exercises in the UK, you can go for walks and stuff. They're starting to lift some of the curfews and the restrictions, which is awesome. I don't know whether that's for the better or not, because I've had to work in this period. So for me, it's been really weird because I've actually been working. So I've been, you know, having to teach from home, create, you know, online resources for the children to do, check their work online, upload it, comment to them, so speak to them online, obviously through approved sites and stuff and whatnot. But you can imagine, obviously, the way in which I teach is very different because of the current situation. What's slightly different though is I'm currently on shared parental leave. So Thomas is 10 months old, you get 12 months maternity, I'm taking 2 months at the end of it. So I'm actually not teaching currently, so I've got a bit more time for ESO. But prior to that, it was very kind of difficult to get videos out, in all honesty, which is why I bought a new microphone to make editing a bit quicker. You know, we find out how to do my build videos, so they're a bit easier to edit. So it kind of, to that kind of, were you getting drained from ESO content? Somewhat, yes. And especially last patch, because the build variety was really dull. It was basically New Moon and Fury, or New Moon and, you know, Bone Pirate. Or New Moon and anything else with a New Moon. Basically, it's just New Moon. So, to your kind of, why you're getting drained a bit from ESO, I would say last patch somewhat, yes. But, you know, I kept with it because I do enjoy doing videos. I'm quite passionate about that, and, you know, got a good drive. But, you know, you want to enjoy what you do. So I do obviously consider other games and stuff. I play things like From the Depths. I play Scrap Mechanic, which is awesome. I played a bit of modded Minecraft in the past. I played some vanilla Minecraft. But with obviously having 15 hours, maybe 20 hours to do games a week at the very most, there isn't much time to play any other game other than ESO. So for me, it's ESO. But if people want to see other stuff, I might do, you know, something else on one ESO and mix it up. But I'll see what people think. He basically asks, what do you think is better, Magicka or Stamina, and what do I prefer? So for me, in all honesty, Stamina is the best currently. There's no getting around it. Stamina is just vastly better across the board. And there's 2 big reasons for it. One is Dizzy and Swing. Now I know all the 1vX players are going to be like, Dan, we hate you right now, but Dizzy and Swing is so overtuned. You know, it hits like a truck, it snares people, if you medium with it, it stuns people, and it's dirt cheap. No other spammable hits as hard as that beyond snipe, and we know a snipe's busted anyway. So for me, that gives them a really big advantage. You then have executioner, which gives them their execute, which again is really high, and it's from 50%. So around 30% or less health, executioner becomes significantly better than any other spammable. So for me, stamina just is better because of those two things alone. And then on top of all of that, they've got better mobility, which is great. They have better healing, which is not true currently because there's a few bugs with it, I do know that, but they're still just better overall. Damage is better, they can kill things faster. The survivability is actually pretty good because they can move around quicker and get out of damage. So it's why you see more 1vx clips of stamina. It's, that's the truth, sadly. If you're ever unsure what is doing better, just go into YouTube and type in ESO 1vx or ESO build videos, and if you see loads of stam builds, they're doing better. And likewise, if you see loads of mag builds, they're doing better because they're popular. Popular builds do well. As for what do I prefer Magicka. Magicka's more skillful, in all honesty. Magicka playstyle, you have to learn more skills in the same amount of time, and as such, that means you have to be better at the game, in my opinion. For a stamina warden, you could literally go subterranean assault, dizzying swing, medium weave, execute, and most things will die. Or you do 2 dizzying swings and then execute. You do subterranean assault, dizzying swing, dawnbreaker, execute, or subterranean assault, dizzying swing, onslaught, execute, and that's it. Magicka warden, I have to do crazy stuff. I do like deep fissure, heavy attack, frost staff, then do my ice clench, and do the arterial burst, and then do the vampire stun, and then do another burst to kill somebody. On a Magicka sorcerer, I have to do haunting curse, then I do mage's fury, heavy attack, rune cage, crystal frag, crush and shock block. So you see there's a lot more skills to land, and so for me that's why I prefer Magicka, because it's just more skillful, in all honesty. Magicka classes also have to juggle issues with stamina sustain and better management. They can't roll dodge to fight freedom, especially with the current health regen builds that you have out there. So yeah, to the thing, just Magicka is more skillful, and that's what I like. I don't know whether that means I'm a better player or a worse player. I don't know what that. I just find it more interesting. It's just something about it, really. And you want to be a wizard. Why do you want to be a wizard? So why wouldn't you want to be a Magicka character? But from efficiency, stamina is better, sadly. I've got 2 other questions. One from Aerobear. He doesn't know it's my thing, but basically there's not many guys on YouTube about kind of low-level stuff, or like builds and PvE stuff and kind of rotations, and I do agree. I think actually on YouTube there's just no real guidance for new players. And when I started doing YouTube, there was nothing for PvP. Like, there was no guidance for PvP whatsoever. It was basically, this is the meta build and you run that, or this is me being a god Xing everybody else. And that's not me saying, this is like other YouTubers, like other YouTube channels. And there's no disrespect to them, but I obviously saw that. I was like, actually, there's nobody trying to teach people how to get better at PvP with builds and guides. And that's where I kind of went into. As for PvE, what you've said, I do plan on actually moving into that kind of stuff. So I've been working on kind of more just simpler things to help people out, like heavy attack builds, PvE guides, like my mythic item guides, which are really good for PvE, how to level up Lager domain, alchemies, stuff. I've got my race guide. I've got a guide coming up for what class to pick based on your need. I will have a guide on how to set up your skill bars coming up. So I am seeing there's obviously a big need for this kind of stuff, and I'm working on it. Obviously, with doing the PvP stuff too, that's kind of the main focus. So this PvE stuff has kind of a back burner. And obviously Cheeseburger just agrees with this and says most builds are aimed at 300 CP. And the reason is that you get resources as you keep getting your CP up, which nobody explains. So when you get to 300 CP, you stop getting it like bonus resources. So most people just cap 300 CP as the benchmark, because it's an easier stat page. That is the reality. Nobody's going to tell you that, but that's the reality. It's really hard to get a stat page if your stamina is a little bit lower than the 300 CP or your Magicka, and people go, oh, that's a terrible build, your stamina's too low, when actually that's just CP difference. And then as for kind of rotations and stuff, the CP makes a huge difference again. So people just, why would I mess about with a low CP build when most people are max CP? Is it right? I don't necessarily think so. Is there a gap? Yes, there is. Am I trying to help people with that? Yes, but it does take time. But that's kind of it, guys. Obviously, that was really cool. Like, really great just seeing your sort of comments. That was the first time I read them, so this is like literally just straight from the heart kind of thing. It'd be interesting to see what you think. So if you are somebody who has commented, like, thank you for doing so. It's obviously been really cool, really fun. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, then obviously let me know in the comments. Obviously again, and yeah, I might do this as a regular thing if people are interested. But before we wrap the video up here, I just want to say thanks to the Patreon people, like they're funding the website, unifiedgaming.org, and thank you to all the people who come onto Twitch. There's a link in the description where we, stream every Saturday live, so you can see builds and stuff, where we test stuff out. You really see the process. So yeah, just obviously thank you for all the engagement with comments and seeing people live on the website and stuff. So, and obviously the patrons, as I said, a really big thank you to those. But with that said, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here because it is rather long, in all honesty. But I wanted to give it the time it deserved. So I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye.